All right, so this Knife Thoughts video is going to be a quick overview of this knife. And as you can see, this is the Gradation Cutlery Titty number 74 Mustang in black plum jigged bone. And the full model number here on the tube is 745120. So you know it's the 74 pattern. The 5 stands for a drop point blade. The 1 stands for a single blade, and the 20 stands for being made in the year 2020. So here's the knife. And again, still working on my lighting setup, but I hope you can see that there's definitely some nice deep purple in those handles. It's surely a very dark purple, and so I think it was a right call to name it black plum jigged bone rather than just plum jigged bone. But there's definitely some purple in there, and when I first took this out of the tube, I was really happy with it. I think it's a really nice kind of deep color and dye that they did on it. Very different than some of their other purple dyed bones that they've done. Another thing that I noticed right away was this jigging pattern, which when they were announced or when we were seeing pictures in the production pictures on Gradation Cutlery's website, a lot of people weren't super excited about this jigging pattern, but I actually think it's pretty nice. It looks very polished because there is a lot of area left unjigged. And my wife, who is not really a knife person and actually particularly doesn't like jigged bone, said that this jigged bone was all right. So that's tells me that probably even non-knife people would like this jigging pattern. If you haven't seen it, I actually did another video, a longer video already on a knife from this run of knives, and that is the burlap micarta version. And this knife came with a little bit of a proud tip, but pretty much really perfectly made otherwise. And this knife even outdoes that one. No gaps, so you can see really nice there. Nice transitions between the bolsters and covers. Pretty much, well, maybe a little bit towards the pile side here, this side with the centering, but nowhere near touching. Nicer action, I would say, on this one. It came out of the tube with a little bit more snap to it and more of a 5, maybe 5.5, but closer to 5 on the pole, whereas the other one was more like a 4. So really nice snap on this one. But most importantly, to me at least, and it might not be to everybody, this one is much lower, sits much lower on the handle, so that tip is not proud at all. And it really made me happy to see that. I was hoping that not all of the knives on this run would have the proud tips. And as far as I can tell, it sitting lower in the handle hasn't made it have blade wrap at all. So I was really happy with that. Another difference here that you can see is that this has an etch, and nice simple horse etch, which I like, whereas the other one didn't have an etch, and it has a different shield. I was calling this a badge shield in the other video. I'm not as sure on that because I believe this is what they call the badge shield actually. I should have checked before making this video, but I will definitely check before making my full run overview. And I do plan to do that, so I'm trying to get all of the knives from this run and do a full overview of the 2020 run of 74 Mustangs. They have done the Mustang before. In 2016 they did some in both stainless and carbon steel, if I recall correctly, and people were really looking forward to this one, and I'm really happy with this plum jigged bone. I think it looks really nice. I think it's made really well, and I think I'm going to have a hard time deciding which one to actually keep and use, because I do plan to keep and use one of the knives from this run, if not more, because I have a 74. Actually, I have a couple 74s, but they're all collection pieces because they're from the Rendezvous. They're Rendezvous specials. So really happy with this knife. I got this knife as well as the burlap one from Ken at Blue Creek Cutlery, and he always, is very easy to work with and everything. So definitely check him out. As well as there's lots of other good dealers. I actually had one of the ironwood versions reserved at Collector Knives, and completely my fault, not at all their fault. didn't see the reserve email on time, and so I missed out on it. So that was really dumb. And speaking of that, I just wanted to mention this because I'm seeing more and more people frustrated about not being able to get these knives. It can be frustrating, certainly. Like I said, I had to kind of scramble to make sure that I got one of the ironwoods, and I've been buying GECs from a lot of different dealers for a long time. But I'm planning to do a video about how to, successfully purchase GEC knives. So definitely check that out. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see videos like that, and hit the bell for notifications so you know when I post it. As always, feel free to check out my articles at knifethoughts.com and my social media at Knife Thoughts on pretty much everything. And as always, don't forget to go out and do good.